Hello and welcome back to the garden. This week we're going to be planting our garlic. Now this is the ideal time of year to plant garlic as it needs to go in before the frosts hit. It's the frost that causes that clove that's planted in the ground to split, creating multiple cloves within the bulb. So let's take a look at what we need to do. So the first thing we need to do is to split the bulb that you've got down into the cloves. So it's the cloves that you plant individually that will then become the whole clove that you dig up in the summer. So all you do is same as you would within your kitchen garlic, is just to break it down into your individual cloves. Now as you do this, just check them to see if any are soft or if any have got any sort of green tips growing out of them already. If you have got any soft cloves, you can discard them. They're not going to do much good in the ground. So just break them all down. You don't have to take all the paper off, because that can still stay on it within the ground. And get as many cloves as you can from the bulb. Any of the excess paper can just go into your compost bin. I'm clearly marked up with the variety that it is. So the variety I'm planting today is called Solent White. Now that's a soft neck variety, and what that means is that I'll get smaller bulbs of garlic and the cloves within them will be smaller, but it will store for a lot longer. If you're using hard neck, you'll get bigger bulbs with bigger cloves in them, but they don't store as well. So that's the choice you have to make of how much you want to store it and how quickly you'll use it once you've harvested it. So I've got the rows laid out, so all we need to do then is plant the cloves in. So when you come to planting garlic, it is flat side down, so the flat where the root plate was, which is there, goes down into the ground, and that pointed bit with that little paper tip goes upwards into the soil. So all I'm doing is just lining it up with where I've got the others, and you just push it into the ground and just leave that paper tip just visible. What I'll do is when I've done the row is I'll cover it over, just to make sure it's just the tip that's pointing out. Now what you do need to be wary of when you're planting the garlic, I nearly did that one upside down, birds will sometimes see these little tips pointing out and will think that they're worms. And what they'll do is they'll come along, think that that's a worm that's just sticking out the ground, and they'll just pull it out. And you'll often find your garlic cloves are just sat on top of the soil. If that happens, all you need to do is just push that back in and it's fine. It won't do it any harm at all. Now the other thing when you're planting your garlic cloves is depending how big you want them to be. So I'm spacing mine quite close together. So I'm going to get smaller bulbs from the space that I'm giving them. If you want to try and get the bulbs as big as possible, double the spacing that I'm doing. How much space you give will depend how big they will be. Obviously the more room you give them as well, the more room the greenery's got to go upwards and flourish, and you get less chance of getting diseases amongst the leaves. So once you finish popping them into the ground, so I'll just finish this row off. So once you finish planting them in, all you need to do is just cover them over, and that little bit of paper will just be visible at the top. And that's all you need to do, all the way across all of your rows. And pretty much for over winter, that's all you need to do. Now, like I say, the frost is ideal for these. They need the frost to be able to get the bulb to divide. So that's why you need to put them in now. If you haven't got your garlic yet, or you can't get any, it's not all lost. You can plant garlic in the spring, but you will get much smaller bulbs and the cloves will be a lot bigger. You won't get that division that you get with normal shop-bought garlic. Avoid using shop-bought garlic to plant into your beds. Use a seed variety. It's bred specially as a seed, and you've got less chance of getting diseases that transfer into your soil and getting a good crop from the seed that you've got. And that's all you need to do for planting your garlic. So that's it for today. If you haven't grown garlic before, give it a try. It's a really easy crop to grow. And likewise, if you're new to gardening, starting off with garlic is something that's really easy to grow. It takes very little care. Once it's gone in the ground like that, you've got very little else to do with it until it comes to harvest time. Check out the links at the end of this video for previous episodes. Also click on the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel and keep up to date with what's going on in the garden. There's also links for Instagram and Facebook to keep up to date with more top tips. And we'll see you back in the garden next week.